All right, guys, welcome to Strong Principles. I'm Rob Delacruz.
I'm Larry Medina.
I'm Pete Miller.
Yeah, we got Pete here joining us today. Pete, what is your title at Sebastian Police Department?
Currently the training sergeant for the Sebastian Police Department.
So you deal with a lot of training when you're over there with them.
Yes, I'm over all of the training for the agency.
Yep.
To include new hiring and the officer training.
Yeah, and Pete was a coach, and Pete understands all things programming and training.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we go back and forth constantly.
Super nerd.
Yeah, big time. Big time. So on today's episode, we're going to cover, so it is basically fix your pillars before you worry about any kind of biohacking or intervention. So when you got those interventions and things are real popular, and I'm not saying I don't do them and I like them a lot. You know, you got red light, we got cryo, cold plunge, IV drips, peptides, and then you got supplements. And I've done them all. And I like them all. So I'm just going to say that up front before. But when you guys go into it, there's a couple of things you want to think about. All those things, as good as they are, they're small percentages. So when you think about the pillars, obviously nutrition is number one. Then you have exercise and sleep, right? When you go into those, the big pieces out of those is nutrition is probably the biggest. And I'm just going to throw out like percentage numbers. It's a give or take. There's all kinds of like conversations online and stuff about it. And different professionals think they count a little bit, but nutrition is like 30% or more right up front. Then you got like sleep, especially as we get older, the quality of sleep, that's like another 20 to 30%. And then you get exercise and that's like 20 to 25%. But all of them combined, you're basically looking at like 75% or 80% of everything could come out of that by itself. Missing one of those, you're going to be bad off. But nutrition is number one.
And I can attest to this just from my job, having to work night shift and having a poor sleeping habit. And then that leads into a poor diet and eating habit. And then I would find myself trying to chase these little things like the red light and stuff. Like at one point I was crashing and I convinced myself for some reason that the answer to all my problems was beetroot. And I would buy beetroot and I was taking so much beets that I thought I was fixing myself, and I wasn't. I was crashing and crashing, and there was no amount of beets I could eat that was going to fix my problems.
So getting the protein at a Starbucks frappe, not a good idea.
No.
That's not going to fix anything.
No, it's not at all. You know, because like the big thing that you're going to run into is you just heard me give you the big percentages of those big pillars. So all the other stuff, the supplements, the red light, all of them, they're like small percents, 5%, maybe 8%. And 8 would be a lot. Most of it's like 5 at the best. Now, the sad thing is that you're doing the big things. Those are actually, you get bigger percentages from those. But if you're not doing those things, your percentage becomes a lot less. Now, there will be some cases, say, for instance, like supplements. If you're missing a mineral or some micro, macro, then those work a lot better. Zinc / magnesium.
It worked exactly like that for me. I was taking supplements. I was taking beets. I was drinking my lattes with protein and nothing was working. But then somebody I respect kind of came to me and was like, hey, idiot, you might want to go get blood work.
Yep.
So I go and get blood work and the panels come back and they're terrible. And I was just not going to out-beet what my blood was telling me. And I was magnificent. My magnesium was low. My iron was low. There was things that I just couldn't fix with supplements. Yeah. And I had to get help.
I mean, you're looking at like creatine that can help. Like if you take a big dose with your sleep, it can kind of like help with the cognitive function a little bit, but that's very short term. It's going to work at all. And creatine works a lot better if you're a lot healthier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that makes sense, right? It's kind of like even when you're trying to become an Olympic lifter, right? You can't be an Olympic lifter unless if you have a good foundation, right? So it's really, or even like building a house, right? If you're building a house, you can't just put up the walls, they're going to come crashing down, right? You got to have a good foundation. Sounds like the foundation here is just nutrition. So what does that look like? Like if I want to have a good nutrition, like what does that look like? Obviously, does it matter on the person? Like if you're sedentary versus active?
Yes, it's definitely going to matter on that. But number one, like not getting super complicated into nutrition, is going to be whole foods first, protein oriented. And then you go from there. Like if you can eat 80% whole foods once in a while, that some of the processed foods come in, and try to make good choices with that, then you're doing great on the nutrition. Not even trying to get too deep into like what macros, what, like, we can say protein close to body weight and all that.
Yep. Yeah, of course. And would we say that that's true regardless, right? Whether it's sedentary or active?
Correct.
Yes.
The only thing I would do is probably adjust calorie intake slightly with some of that if you're more sedentary. And I'd probably prescribe a little more walking, trying to get a little more steps, because there's an amount of activity that you almost have to get no matter where you bring that calories down to, because it's not good to bring the calories very low. So there's an amount that you want to get, and then you go from there.
Okay. Yeah. Don't want to get too far. That one can get deep. I feel.
Real deep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right. That makes sense.
Yeah. So, and the thing is like red light, what we tend to see is people are putting more effort into these little things and less effort into the actual big pillars. And I like all those things. For instance, like red light is great, helps with skin, you feel good, it shows it picks up testosterone, you go and do it, you can feel good. Sometimes it brings down some pain. Cold tub brings down pain for people if they got inflammation. Those are all great, ups the dopamine so you feel good all day. But you're doing that and you're not eating right.
Defeating
it's not going to do. It's defeating the purpose. 100%.
You might not even have to do it as much as if you were eating correctly and trying to get decent sleep. And so then eating right, because you'll hear people like, well, I can't really sleep. So then they're taking stuff for sleep. Don't take narcotics for sleep, by the way.
Try not
to. I knew Pete was going to say something. Because once you do that, this messes the whole thing up. You got to get off those things for like
drugs
2 months.
Are bad.
Yeah. He'll tell us the whole story. And so you can take stuff for sleep a little more
that's
natural.
A good teaser, Rob. We can't just tell us the whole story and then like leave
we
it.
get into the story. Pete talking to us about like. So I mean, I've worked with many people like they were taking narcotics for sleep before any kind of natural supplement will work or remedy. You got to get off them for a long period of time.
Yeah,
and you're going to go through a really bad time with them. There's going to be some kind of withdrawal, and you might not even feel withdrawal, but also you can't sleep. So those things cause a lot of issues, and a lot of times. They're like not really putting you in sleep properly.
No.
It's like a tranquilizer that you're still up. So then then you're not getting all this like lymphatic flushing and everything that like sleep does for you. So it's a big mess with those.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Ambien where people like sleepwalk and do all these things. They do their dishes.
Most of those are pretty similar to that.
I'll tell you a funny story real quick, just because.
Can't wait.
So somebody called themselves. They were taking Ambien. I know this person. They called themselves and they were like.
Call themselves on the phone or calling out for themselves?
No, they called themselves on the phone and they left themselves like a message, like in a weird voice. And it was like, I'm pretending it's me, like Larry. Like, and this is what was like very like evil, like on the message. And so when that person woke up, they were like, what the hell? Like, they had no recollection. Nothing, and
that's
also
scary. Were they watching Exorcism or something before?
I have no idea, but it was that.
Because that's like an out of body experience.
I bet they're fun to party with.
They probably are. I think they are.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it was like that happened. They would like do their dishes and like it was just very weird stuff that happened.
At least
off
they're
of it
productive.
now. But yeah. At least they were productive.
I would just sleep.
Yeah.
Lay around.
Maybe the that night monster was like, I'm tired of doing all your dishes. I'm gonna leave you a nasty message.
Yeah, that would be my luck. I'd do something in full laundry.
Yeah. All right, sorry, I didn't mean to derail.
No, I love
got
the story. It's good. Now, so getting into it, you're looking when you're focusing on the small pillars and not the big ones. I don't want to say you're wasting your time, but you're going to get so much out of it. It is not going to move the needle for you. Now, when you go and you focus on the big pillars, those are most important, and then you start adding those in. You'll see a pretty nice little percentage of gain and move on it. But when you're doing the big pillars, you're less likely to even worry about those that much.
And I always thought of them as like force multipliers. Yep. Like if I am eating good and I am sleeping good, they're going to get that extra 2, 3, 4% that I need.
Yes.
But if I'm eating like a raccoon, it doesn't matter how many cold plunges I do.
Yeah.
It's not helping me.
No.
But if I'm hitting those pillars, that's going to give me that extra force multiplier to make it better.
Yeah, when you're already like getting everything out of one of those pillars, exercise, sleep, and more, it goes up. But when you're like at a deficit in one of those, you don't even know what feeling good feels like.
No.
On there. Now, like I said, Hormones you can kind of put into that too, but the first thing you got to do is kind of take care of those big pillars. Sleep is big.
Yeah, because if you're not taking care of those things, then your hormones are out of whack to begin with, right? I mean, so I remember doing the zone diet.
Yep.
A while back, and honestly, like I felt like that's probably been my most successful on my personal level, like diet to follow, just because it's very prescribed of like your macros and everything, right? And it worked out really well.
You're essentially tracking.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like usually for people, what the zone did was gave them their first taste of actually tracking and seeing what they're doing and kind of being able to calculate and move things within a certain. Up until then, it was like, I don't know.
Yeah, and it was a lot of weighing and measuring, right? Like it was very prescribed on like what, and depending on what you are you sedentary or this or that, you know? And even though I was active in CrossFit, I still put myself as sedentary because like 90% of my day was sedentary, right? There's also like misconception of like really what you are, right? Like some people may think like, oh, I run 6 miles. Cool. What do you do the rest of the day?
Yes.
You know? So, you know, just things that you have to like be wary of and thinking through. But I'm with you, right? The pillars, like that's when I realized how good I felt, right? Because like everything was weighed, everything was measured. I slept good. I want to say I slept better than I do now back then when I was younger. Just because I was following a prescribed diet. And I do think it was like regulating everything in me.
Yeah, and they go hand in hand. Like good nutrition goes right directly into sleep. Then good nutrition goes right directly into more effective, better workouts. The better workouts exhaust the body more, so then you sleep better, and then you want so it's like the circle, those go together. All those go together. One of them missing, then it goes there. But the most important is nutrition, because the biggest exercise, like the biggest workouts you can have, you're looking at like maybe 300 calories at the most. And you're like going crazy, especially if you've been doing it for a couple of weeks in a row. You're looking at you get 500 calories burning. No.
That's
only a freaking bagel.
Right.
You know, like.
Right.
No cream cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember running a marathon.
Yeah.
And gaining weight the next day. Like,
well,
you know, you know what I mean though.
Yeah.
Like I woke up heavier than the day before, right? Is that better? But I still remember thinking that like, how, right? But I like shit, you know, because I was celebrating my 26.2, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, you're not going to burn 500 calories. It's going to be really hard.
Correct. And then when we're saying exercise, obviously you want a good strength training program with some conditioning involved in there, because the wrong type of exercise program could just lead you down the wrong hole, because you do too much intensity all the time. That gravitates you to like, because it's so glycolytic heavy, you're going to look for sugars and fast acting carbohydrates. So it can kind of push you in certain directions too. Some people are really, really susceptible to that. So they got to kind of watch that. But the big pillars, like I like red light. Red light really works, but it's very small. It's a very small amount. The IV drips, you can have NAD in them or whatever. Those can help, and you have some dehydration that helps with that. Small amount. Cold plunge. I don't like cold plunge, but it does help. It does like make you feel better, especially if you have like inflammation in joints as you're getting older.
You don't like it because it's cold?
I don't like the cold.
Because it's miserable.
I'll do, sauna I like. Yeah, cold's miserable.
Okay, I've never done it.
Yeah, it's
You
not
should try
fun.
it today.
I should try it.
I tried it like 4 different times. Some people are just more tolerant to it than others. They can deal with it. They get in there. Every time I tried it, and I know all the benefits. I've freaking read them all. I'm like, yes. I even had a tub, filled it up with ice, did it, emptied it, threw it upstairs. It was done. Like, it's like, I've tried it several dozen times. I was like, all right, this doesn't work for me. Sauna, that's a little different. Yeah, but that's the same thing. The sauna is a small amount. You're doing the other things, those things work great. But we see all too often people concentrate on the small things too much and forget about the other stuff. And it just doesn't work that way at all.
It's the way I think about it, especially something we had talked about earlier. I think of the big pillars as like your body's a bank account, and the big pillars are your investments. The bigger it is, the more money you're going to be putting into your bank account. And nutrition and sleep, they're very big paychecks for you. Workouts may take some, and then you have to replenish it. But when we're getting into red light and the cold plunges, and they're small exchanges. They're just small things that are going into your bank account.
Correct.
But if you're not adding the big stuff, the nutrition, the sleep, you're just going to run yourself dry, and you're going to be in a deficit.
Yeah.
It's your bonus.
It's your bonus. They're just little bonuses.
Yeah.
They're little paychecks that just add a little bit. They let you buy your.
And I'm going to add one more thing on there. So let's take the opposite. You do train hard, you eat well, but sometimes you're overdoing the training with a wrong program or too much or too hard. So then you're using these things to try to recover from your training program, which that's fine if you're training for some kind of sport or something, whatever you got to do to get yourself ready and recovered. Those are all great tools for that, big time athletes. But if your program is so bad that you have to use other objects, like other modalities to recover from it, then you probably should change the volume on the program.
There's a problem with the program.
Yeah. So I do think though, like of all those things, like the red light therapy, cold plunges, all those good things. I feel like it's just like it's almost like the shortcut, right? Kind of like the beet juice. What you're saying earlier, where like you're just drinking the beet juice and you're thinking like that's gonna fix me,
to solve my problem,
right? Like I remember like the shakes back in the day. You just drink like 2 shakes and then you have a good dinner. That's the marketing of it. It's just basically, to your point, like you got to concentrate on the right things, being the pillars, not necessarily the shortcuts, because they're not shortcuts. They're anything but money. They're just a waste of money and a waste of your time.
Total
until you can do the other things.
Total waste of money, unless you do the other stuff. And then if you have some extra money, then go and play with it.
Absolutely.
Have fun and watch what it does for you a little bit.
I'm sure beet juice has helped somebody. It just was not helping me where I was. My bank account I was done.
Yeah, no, I can totally see that. I could see the supplements, right? Like if you're running low on calories and you want to do like the greens, like, cool. But, for the day, but don't make it a habit. Don't make that be your only consumption of
it is not your savior.
Yeah, and this is coming from somebody that owned a supplement company, tries every supplement they're out, loves peptides, has a red light at his house, not a cold tub, but
you do. It's just in the attic.
Done IVs, do NAD, that have done all this. But I know, you feel good from them. But if I didn't do that other stuff, it doesn't even work.
Waste of time.
Pillars. Yeah.
The only one I would vouch for is Androstene when it was out.
That was back in the day.
Mark McGuire.
The stuff they would the shit that they would let go.
Yeah.
It's half illegal everywhere.
Sure, GNC. Let me buy these from you.
Yeah.
Anyways, so basically I think the moral of the story is you got to pay attention to the right things, right?
Yep.
There's no shortcuts. And I think that's really what's important, right? Is in life, no matter what you're doing, there's no real shortcuts.
No, it's concentrate on your nutrition. Just kind of focus on the whole foods. There's a lot of good information starting to come out now. Try to stay away from the highly processed foods the best you can. Make sure you try to do the best you can in sleep. Sleep's you got to create rituals with sleep to try to get you ready for bed. Try to stay off those screens and then exercise. A good strength training program with some conditioning involved, and that'll take you where you really need to go.
Perfect. All right, everybody.
All right, strong principles.